Fed Talk at the PILG.
The whole idea behind the proposal to shift to a federal system is actually to try to diffuse the over-concentration of so much government powers in the hands of the central government today.
This is Fed Talk at the PILG, a friendly conversation on anything and everything federalism, with our host, Attorney Michael Henry Yusinko, and our special guest, Commissioner Gwen Pimentel-Gana. This podcast is brought to you by Pimentel Institute for Leadership and Governance and Hans Seidel Foundation, Philippines.
Good day to all our listeners and viewers, and a warm welcome to our very special guest, Commissioner Gwen Pimentel-Gana, Commissioner of the Commission on Human Rights. This is the very first episode of this podcast series, and it's only right that we start from where it all began. Let's look back at how the Federalism initiative took root in the Philippines. Many folks were actually surprised that federalism was part of the campaign platform of President Rodrigo Duterte in 2016. But the truth is, federalizing the country is not a new proposition. Apolinario Mabini and Jose Rizal both contemplated about this form of government as to its suitability for a young, independent nation. But the person credited for bringing federalism into the public consciousness is the late Senator Nene Pimentel. In today's Fed Talk at the PILG, we discuss the legacy of the late Senator as the ultimate advocate of federalism in the country. We are so fortunate to have, as the first guest of our podcast, someone who can share a first-hand account on how the late Senator began his federalism advocacy. To everyone, she is known as Commissioner Gwen Gana, but to me, I call her Manang Gwen. Manang Gwen, what can you remember about how Tito Nene began with his federalism advocacy? What can you share?
Okay, thank you, Panoy. Hello, good morning, everyone. Yes, this is like going back down memory lane. And I can say that ever since I've been conscious of the political scene in our country, Tatay has always been there advocating for federalism. Because he believed that it is only through federalism that our country can move forward in terms of good governance. Maybe this is because of his being, a lawyer and fighting for the downtrodden and the oppressed. And then, of course, he is from Mindanao, and he has actually seen the struggle of the Muslims, our Moro brothers, and how they've been fighting for their voices to be heard, and in effect, even demanding independence. So the only way in which we can keep our country as a whole is going through a new form of government, which is federalism. And I know that Tatay really believed in this cause, that he even when he was in public service and he's been in the legislation for so long, he has come up with a lot of legislations that would push for this advocacy. And that his career in Congress has been so long. I think he actually retired after 17 years serving as senator, excluding pa yung naging batasan or even mayor and all that. But through his political career of, I think, 40 years, he has really advocated for federalism.
Manang Gwen, nasabi mo that Tito Nene served as mayor of Cagayan de Oro City. Naalala ko pa yun nung bata ko. Nagpupunta tayo sa Cagayan de Oro. Now, do you think his stint as mayor also shaped his advocacy for federalism?
Of course. Kasi alam mo, pag mayor ka, direct to the people ang service mo eh. you face to face ang iyong relationship with them. At marami kasing constituents doon sa Cagayan de Oro na mga Muslim. We had a very strong Muslim community, and si tatay kasi maraming mga kaibigan niya dahil syempre naging ano din siya, lawyer siya ng mga farmers, ng mga minorities, at siya, as a matter of fact, talagang love niya ang mga lumads at yung ating mga indigenous people. Sa kanya mataas yung mga interest nila na dapat protektahan. So being a mayor, nakita niya na kung paano naapektuhan ang mga constituents niya at itong mga group of minorities na hindi nabibigyan ng boses, at ang mga services even hindi dumadating sa kanila. 'Di ba? Yung mga resources, kulang sila ng opportunity. So talagang nakita niya na it is only through this form of government na sinatawag nating federalized government na makikita mo na mabibigyan sila ng oportunidad na that they can even promote their own culture and tradition in this kind of setup.
Ito, Manong Gwen, I've heard Tito Nene talk about this a lot of times. Kaya lang hindi ko siya natanong directly about this eh. Gusto ko sana siya tanungin, but yung martial law years ba also had an impact dun sa, because he was a victim of martial law. You were, kayong pamilya nyo. Na-shape ba yung advocacy niya about federalism nung martial law years na talagang may repression and may suppression ng freedoms natin?
Ay, siyempre sa tingin ko, lalo na nakita niya na importante ang federalized system of government. Federalism is very important. Kasi alam mo sa martial law, napaka-centralized, di ba? Centralized ang form of government. Tapos, the power was concentrated in one person, in a dictator, di ba? Authoritarian regime, etc. So nakikita mo how the country was actually oppressed. The people were oppressed, and sufferings were actually being experienced by those not in the center of power. Lalo sa mga probinsya, develop ba rin sila or meron lang favorite na mga probinsya na nadidevelop, di ba? Masasabi mo sa north, talagang tinulungan sila, dinevelop sila because yung person in power taga doon, di ba? Paano ang Mindanao, paano ang Visayas? So nakita niya na because of this kind of centralized control of power, at saka syempre authoritarian at that time, talaga namang na-oppress ang ating mga kababayan, pati yung mga probinsya na hindi nabigyan ng equal opportunity to grow and to develop.
Doon nga, so yung experience of super centralized form of government that probably also spurred his desire to push federalism. Ngayon, syempre, pumasok na yung EDSA Revolution, yung 1986, tapos yung constitution na nagbunga doon ay ganun pa rin, presidential and unitary. So, I guess talagang merong level of frustration din si Tito Nene about that, but in-address naman yon ni Tito Nene with the enactment of the local government code. So, can you share some of any insights on the difficulty in passing that law? Alam ko, close ka na doon sa office ni Tito Nene that time. Not to reveal your age, but alam ko, active ka na doon sa office niya.
Nasa law school pa ako noon.
Hindi
pa ako part of the office ni tatay. Pero tama yung sinabi mo, I think he had to work with the system that we had. The kind of government that we had at that time, which is itong centralized form of government, itong presidential form, etc. So he had to work within the system, and he did his best in a opportunity that was given to him, which was senador siya. Diba? So ano ang dapat mong gawin habang senador ka? Di mag-pass ka ng batas. So ang ginawa niya, ang pinakamagandang batas na nakita niya na at that time na senador siya na pwede niyang itulong towards the goal of federalism is through devolution. So what did he do? He passed the local government code, at doon talaga binigyan niya ng kapangyarihan ang ating mga local governments na talagang to pursue their own path of development. Nabigyan niya ito ng katawan, nagbigyan niya ito ng form, at nakikita natin na actually sa totoo lang ito ay pwedeng maging tawag noon precursor to federalism, di ba? Ito yung parang basis na pwede na tayong magsabi na, uy, pwede pala ang federalism kasi na-devolve na natin ang some of the powers to local governments and it's working to the best of the local governments. Marami na ngayon na masasabi mo at least na-develop sila in terms of resources, nakakuha sila, and then even anong tawag nito, human resources were developed because of the local government code. So makikita natin na federalism is possible for our country. Kaya lang syempre, kailangan natin ng maraming parang the process is still long kasi you have to go to amend the constitution. So mahirap itong gawin kaagad kasi hindi naman gusto ng mga tao na kaagad na i-amend na hindi nila naiintindihan. Pero si tatay, at the time kung saan siya linagay ng Diyos, na binigyan siya ng opportunity as senator, he did his best to promote devolution, which is, I think, the very core of federalism. Diba?
Correct, no? So, yung tama ka, Manang Gwen, the local government code is sort of our bridge to a federal form of government. So, maraming mga local officials really became empowered because of the local government code. Sa tingin mo, when Tito Nene retired from politics, gaano kaya ka grateful yung mga local officials na became so prominent and became so well known because of the local government code? Meron ka bang mga kwento na ma-share mo sa amin?
Well, Noy, siguro naisip ko ngayon sa tanong mong yan, siguro nung time na wala pang local government code, hindi ka maka-imagine na meron isang local government official, mayor at that, who will become president. Hindi mo yan maisip eh. Ang mga presidential candidates lang at that time, mga pag-senador ka. Congressman nga, hindi pwede maging presidente. Senator, pag senator ka, Senate President ka, then ang path mo is always to become president. Pero nung nagkaroon ng local government code, at tama yung sinabi mo, na-focus sa mga magagaling na chief executive, local chief executives, di ba? Nagsha-shine sila kasi nakikita kung paano nila the progress of their municipality, city, or the province even, ay nakikita na highlight sa national scene. Kasi meron silang part, di ba? May contribution sila. Ngayon nakita mo na even a mayor, can you imagine a mayor becoming president? That is already, I think, one of the achievements of the local government code, di ba? Na those who are capable are actually brought to the national scene and are given a chance to lead our country. Ngayon, I think the local chief executives and officials are very grateful for the local government code. Wala pa akong nakilalang mga local government officials na nagsabi na hindi nagpapasalamat kay tatay na napasa ang local government code. Wala akong nakilalang ganon. And true. Makikita mo naman talaga na talagang suportado nila siya at they appreciate him. Kasi sa lahat naman ng kampanya ni tatay, kung tumatakbo siya, talagang full support sila. At nakikita mo na pag sinabi nga na Nene Pimentel, konting hindi nila pinapagastos si tatay, sila na mismo ang nagpa-fund ng kanyang campaign. And we are grateful for that. Na siguro na-appreciate nila yung kanyang sincerity at ang kanyang talagang, advocacy na talagang i-empower, as you said, ang mga local governments para naman development ng buong Philippines ang mangyayari. And which I think is really happening, but of course, kulang pa. Yan ang masasabi natin.
Yeah. Ang isa pang I really admire about Tita Nene is napaka-prolific niya as a writer, no? Ang dami niya mga libro and I've been privileged to contribute some works dun sa mga ibang books niya. But ganun ba talaga si Tita Nene? Talagang ang part na yun ng advocacy niya in terms of empowering local governments, but ultimately empowering Filipinos, no, by sharing his knowledge.
Yes. Actually, si tatay kasi is a kind of leader who would mentor. Mentor siya. He would want to develop young leaders also. Hindi siya kasi yung type na he will propagate himself in power. Si tatay always believed that anyone is parang no one is indispensable. You have a part to play. You are given an opportunity at one time in your life. Therefore, if that opportunity is with you now, do the best you can. That is how he is as a leader, and he always recognizes potentials in people. No, hindi siya judgmental. He would give opportunities to others. Hindi siya madamot, hindi siya selfish, hindi siya jealous of the success of others. Hindi. He would want others to succeed because once a leader is developed, you're also para bang magaling ka kasi naka-inspire ka, na-develop mo yung isang tao na naging magaling din, di ba? So, mang legacy mo will live on. And that's, I think, how he was as a person. And even as a father, he never forced us, no, to follow his whatever he wants. He never, kaya nga kami, whatever decisions we make in our lives, it's because we want to do it. And we are in public service because we see in him the real public servant, and we want to emulate that, So it's not because he forced us into this. Even I would say na si Senator Coco Pimentel hindi naman pinilit ni tatay ang tumakbo. Walang ganyan, walang pilitan sa kanyang sarili. Maybe I believe because he saw that it is only in public service like tatay did that he can really help a lot of people. Yung ganon, ano? So, what you were saying about ano nga yun, Noy? Ano yung tanong mo?
Si Tito Nene kasi, aside from really a sublime public servant, which I'm a first-hand witness also, yung pagiging prolific niya as a writer really is astonishing kasi I mean, minsan may message na lang yan sa akin na magsulat ka nga nito or nabasa ko yung sinulat mo. So in other words, kahit yung mga articles ko, binabasa niya, which to me is so, I mean, nakakataba ng puso, no? But obviously, Tito Nene siya, so parang obligado siya basahin ako. But what I'm trying to say is, he is always willing to share his knowledge. That translates to federalism also. Kasi napaka-uhaw ng tao sa knowledge on federalism, and siya yung mismo ang bibigay or nagsusupply ng tubig dun sa uhaw na yon.
Kasi nga, Noy, sa character nga yan ni tatay, hindi kanya pipilitin. Naniniwala siya na, okay, naniniwala ako sa federalism, pero gusto kong maintindihan ninyo. Hindi lang kayo basta na susunod kasi sinabi ko. Hindi siya ganun eh. Kaya talagang he takes pains, or he took pain actually in going around the country. Alam ni Clarice yun, alam ni Ray, alam ni Omen, kasi kasama sila, ikaw, alam mo, kahit na hirap na siya maglakad.
Naka-wheelchair pa.
Naka-wheelchair. Hindi, kahit na, actually, kasi alam naman ng lahat na he had lymphoma, kahit na even after his, chemo, talagang shock na lang kami ni Clarice kasi the following day, meron na siyang appointment. Katatapos lang ng kanyang chemo. Di ba yung ganun? The following day, makikipag-meeting na siya, makikipag-conference, etc. Alam naman natin, sabi ng doktor, wag ka mag-expose sa mga tao kasi nga kakikimo mo pa lang. Pero it never stopped him. Kasi yan ang niya. He has to impart knowledge. Di ba? Alam niyang, kasi si tatay talagang not only a prolific writer, but a prolific, parang, anong tawag nito, reader. Reader, pero he enjoys reading. He enjoys studying. He enjoys new knowledge. Mas magaling pa siya sa computer sa akin eh. I mean, yun, kasi he adapts to the times. He's very progressive, sa totoo lang. Not because, yung age now will not in any way suppress his desire to learn more, and he believes that he can learn more because the world is so big. Education is continuing through your life. Ganun ang kanyang thinking, di ba? So mahilig magsulat yan. Palagi niya sinasabi sa akin, which unfortunately nagsisisi ako na hindi ko nagawa na. Kaya I'm trying my best na sinasabi niya sa akin, alam mo Gwen, lahat ng travels mo kasi nagta-travel ka for work, you should document it. Mahilig si tatay magsabing document everything. Kasi yan din ang problema ng history natin. That's why we tend to actually repeat the faults of the past. or mga mistakes of the past is because we do not document and we do not learn from them. So sa kanya palaging document, document. So mahilig talaga siya magsulat. At pag sinabi mo kasi, Noy, na binabasa niya ang mga sinusulat mo, proud na proud siya sa iyo. At hindi niya binabasa yun kasi pamangkin ka niya, but binabasa niya yun kasi you are also an expert in what you're saying. So he learns from you, things like that. So ganun si tatay mag-isip. I think he's actually advanced for his time at noon pa na so nakikita niya sometimes, sabi ko naiisip ko na ano ba naman ang desisyon ni tatay, bakit ganyan, it's against public opinion na marami nagki-criticize sa kanya, etc.
Hindi siya natatakot doon.
Hindi siya natatakot, but in the end siya tama. Tama lahat naman sinasabi. Pero at the time na sinabi niya yun, parang everybody against sa kanya, aawayin siya, i-criticize siya. Pero in the end, nakikita mo tama yung sinabi niya. So, siguro nga meron siyang prophetic, I don't know, vision or ano bang tawag mo dyan. Pero he really can read that, yung political scene natin. Oo.
So, you said earlier na 40 years siya in public service, and part of the public service years was the advocacy on federalism.
Oo.
Anong nangyari when he retired? How did the advocacy carry on?
Oo, kasi
paano nung nag-retire na siya?
Oo, alam mo si tatay kasi sinasabi niya wala naman daw yung word retirement na yan. What is retirement? 'Di ba? For as long as buhay ka and you can do something for the good of others and your country, you have to continue with your advocacy and you have to make your voice heard, di ba? So the PILG was born, Pimentel Institute for Leadership and Governance. So when he retired in 2010, right away meron na kaming PILG na naging foundation na siya, no? And ang advocacies ng PILG is training, capacity building of local officials at saka mga youth leaders. And we also are into yung research sa mga publications na lumabas sa amin. And then yung mga sinasabi nating mga roundtable discussions on current issues is those are actually programs that the PILG adopted.
So yung federalism advocacy ni Tito Nene is now being continued by PILG.
Yes, oo. Kasali yan talaga sa one of the core programs of PILG. No? We have partnership with, especially with the Hans Seidel Foundation, na, kasi ang advocacy din nila is the information dissemination on federalism, and we are partners with them.
So, right now, aside from this podcast, ano pa yung mga activities that PILG and the Hans Seidel Foundation are thinking of or planning to conduct to promote federalism in the country?
Oo. Meron tayong ongoing mga lecture series, webinars, no, ongoing all over the country, and it has something to do also with universities, student leaders, and at the same time, we talk also about the upcoming elections. Kasi it's also very important that students and everyone actually will have to know the importance of elections, especially this election, di ba? Kasi we have an opportunity now to elect leaders, new leaders who would have probably the same, hopefully, concept of governance that we have, good governance. We have this time now, and we have to inform the students. And part of the actually advocacy of good governance is the concept of federalism. Kasi we in PILG and of course Tatay Nene believe that federalism is the way to good governance. So it's important na we go around and still continue with advocacy of educating people on what federalism is. At saka nagkaroon tayo ng yung lecture series nga natin, di ba? We just had, I think in I can't really exactly remember, pero mga within this month lang, di ba? Yung you were even part of it, di ba? You were talking about the concept of federalism, pati si Professor Tayaw, he was our main speaker, and yung mga ganitong activities, we still continue to advocate for federalism through webinars and of course university tours.
Unfortunately, we have come to the concluding portion of our podcast, and I know many of our listeners appreciate the trip back memory lane, remembering one of our greatest political leaders, and of course, one who is considered by many as the ultimate advocate of federalism. As a final word, can you share some anecdotes or lasting parting message to our listeners, Manang Gwen?
Siguro i-quote ko si tatay, no, about federalism. Meron siyang sinabi, no, na I will quote him na lang and I will read it, no. Let me state that the federal system is an idea that we have to embrace as a people. Otherwise, we will always be bothered by the question of why we are lagging behind other nations in terms of development. We have every reason to wonder because we are a very talented people. From our experience, I think we can say that a talented people are not enough to move a nation to progress. One also needs a workable and a more efficient system of governance to bring our people to the promised land of peace and development. And I think federal system of government is the key to national development and Mindanao peace. So these are just some of the thoughts of Tatay that we want to still continue to advocate for in PILG. So, Noy, hindi naman ito ang huling podcast natin and I'm sure makikinig pa ang ating mga kaibigan dyan para mas marami pa silang malaman tungkol sa federalism. Thank you, Noy.
All right, thank you. Until the next Fed Talk at the PILG, bye for now.
Good governance does not depend on the governors alone, but also on the governed.